Hi guys, welcome to the October Q&R. I'm Brent Weeks, author of Night Angel and the Lightbringer series. Again, shooting from the hip, I'm going to read a few more questions and we'll provide links to those below, or at least timestamps to those below. Starting with this, Zachary Perdue. Okay, so I finally finished Night Angel. So good. And I didn't add that. That was really him. Promise. And I'm really curious what Kylar's Azoth's background or parentage is. Will that be subject for future stories, or is that supposed to remain a mystery, or not important after all? Um, I I kind of had some fun with that, and some of you might have noticed I had fun with it elsewhere in my writing. Um, it's funny to me that we have such a so many readers, and I get it, have such a fascination with like who are the real parents. That that seems so vitally important. Like, doesn't matter who raises you, doesn't matter uh, what your background is. There's this mysterious, obviously there's a genetic connection to your real parents, but there's this like connection beyond the physical. There's this like metaphysical or spiritual connection to one's real parents. If you find out, Darth Vader is actually Luke's dad, it's like, no, rather than, oh, well, that's an accident of birth. Okay, that's interesting. It's like this big deal. And certainly with Night Angel, what I had a lot of fun doing is hewing pretty close to some stereotypical stuff, especially as I introduce things, and then eventually making hard left turns with those to cut away from the stereotypes. And so that was something I wanted to play with, of like who is the real parent, and you just don't find out. I thought it was kind of fun. So I'm going to leave the door open as of now, whether we find out who Kylar's parents really are and how much that really matters in a future book, because I don't like to shut down creative opportunities for myself later. But right now, I'm not planning on answering that at least anytime soon. So yeah, I'm not going to give anything else. That would be spoilers for what something else I might or might not currently be writing. Okay, on to the next question. This is by Thomas Hagland. Sorry, there's an AE with ligature, and I have no idea. Thomas says, in the Blood Mirror, you included a word that was composed of several strange symbols. As a reader, I had no idea how to even begin to comprehend or pronounce the word. This gave the whole scene a very interesting vibe, and it worked quite well for me. Where did that idea come from? And were you worried about readers being frustrated by it? The fun part for me was when I talked to Simon Vance. I always talk to Simon, who does my audiobook recordings of Lightbringer now. When I talked to him, I was like describing it to him on the phone. So I was like saying how he should say it. And no, I'm not going to do that for you right now, because that sounds ridiculous. And yeah, you don't need to look behind the curtain that far. So I had fun with that, though. I don't know where I got that idea. I mean, I like to think I kind of made it up myself, but what I was looking for was something, let's see if I can do this without, I can't remember what I've spoiled and what I haven't. So I was looking for something totally baffling and otherworldly. I wanted something totally outside of the characters' understanding or knowledge. And so I thought the best way to do that would be by hitting you, the reader, with that same with that same experience. Like, what the hell is this? And I didn't worry too much about readers being frustrated by it. I mean, if you read, a million words and you only come across one word in the whole story that you don't know how to say, or you don't know what it means, like, man, you probably got a pretty good vocabulary, or you're reading books way below your reading level. Or you have very low frustration tolerance, or high frustration. Anyway, if that's your biggest problem, that's a pretty small problem. So I wasn't worried about readers getting upset with me. I figure they have much better reasons to be mad at me than that. And I'm glad it worked for you. I also didn't take that just out of nothing. I mean, almost, but I kind of played with it a little bit. So you could have some fun games with that. Probably, I mean, not that fun though. It's just one word. Okay, moving on. Sonja von Delven. Sorry if I said that wrong. Sonia, I think your name has popped up before, from Germany. Yes. Asks, will you return to the Seven Satrapies someday in the future? And will you pass around another excerpt from the Brent Knight soon? I do hope to return to the Seven Satrapies, next year around August or September with the Burning Light. And dang it, I just went too far. After this series, I don't know. The door's open. I mean, I haven't yet burned the world down, although I've got pages left. It's possible. I don't see doing it terribly soon. Every time I've run into a hard sequence in this book for the last few years, I've been dreaming about my return to Midkiru and to Kylar's world. And boy, it looks like such an easy project. And this is a funny thing that writers and probably other creatives do. Like, when this thing looks so hard, that next thing looks so good and so easy. It looks like it's going to be so much fun, and it's just going to flow. Everything's going to be great when you get over there. And you can see few little problems over there, but they'll be really easy. You'll just solve those. Life will be good. You'll be sitting on the beach drinking daiquiris in no time. But that said, even though I know I'm deceiving myself, I am looking forward to writing at least one book in. I'm just going to still just say in Kylar's world. I'm not going to say who's in it or what my ideas are, just in case I change my mind at the last minute and don't want you to be mad that I've lied to you. So first I'm going to do that, and then I'll worry about what's next later. So there's my sort of non-answer, and that's all my questions that I have. So I'm gonna have I'm gonna pause here, and then I'm gonna have my assistant surprise me with some other ones. So just give me a second. All right, we're back. Sue Armitage. Sorry, I never know how they anglicize names are in the UK sometimes. Says, any more spoof readings coming up at the final book launch? Well, Sue, if I told you, how would I fool you? Jeez, you got to know. So here's the truth. No more spoof readings from me. Not ever. None. Okay, Al Spader says, do you consider the audio format as you're writing? I love listening to Lightbringer on audio, but it can get pretty confusing when you hear the word wight, because it could mean the wight or the wigot. Wait, you don't know Old English? You don't pronounce it in Old English, Al? Come on, man. All this time, I've been expecting you. Nobody else does this. Oh, okay. Yes. Sorry. Both are very important to the stories, but both are very, very different parts of the story. When I read the words, the difference is obvious, but listening can be a bit confusing. Yeah, I probably messed up with that. They were individually both so indispensable. Obviously, you have the color symbolism, and you have these people. You've got the red, you've got the blue, you've got the black, and you've got that lady who wears the white robes. And then similarly, when talking about the color, people, but not quite people, calling somebody a wight gives sort of a flavor of something that's. I mean, it is like Old English, or I think it's Old English. Might be Old English to Middle English or something. It just means person. It just means person. So, but currently, or in current fantasy reading, it's something person-like, but maybe not quite a person. is more the connotations we have with it. So I thought that was highly appropriate for the color wights in the seven attributes. So individually it works really well, but then I understand how things get complicated once you're deep into the book, and I've already made all my decisions, and then you're like, oh yeah, that's a little confusing. Shoot, I would do that a little differently. But there it is. So I do think about the audio. Also, and I think like, oh man, that'd be really confusing. And I talk with Simon Vance, who does my audiobooks, as I mentioned, and we talk through things. So I think about how can you convey this for readers who are just listening. There are certain things that don't translate well, and I think that's just because they're two different media. And I think about translations of, this is kind of a pun. This is maybe even kind of funny. I would hope every once in a while. And that's not going to translate at all. Or this particular thing is not going to work at all in any language except for English. And then you just go, well, tough. I mean, sometimes, because it's like, this is too good of a thing not to use it. And then you just hope that, you hope and you trust your translators that they're going to make something happen to make it work. I don't actually, expect you to call them kniggets for knights or anything, but no Old English insofar as we're able. It's not a Monty Python sketch. And then one last question I think we have time for. This one is by Georgios Sotiriou. Sorry for mispronouncing your name. What is your relationship with Greece or the Greek language? Quite often you use names that not only are Greek words turned into names like dakoptes, but the use of those words as names is remarkably accurate. You may guess by my name that I am Greek. I think as Ben Jonson said of Shakespeare, that he has little Latin and less Greek. That's kind of me. I took a little bit of Greek in college, and I've had a lifelong love of Greek culture, and especially of ancient Greece and ancient Greek thought. And as it turns out, one of my roommates, great friend from college and still a great friend, is a professor of ancient philosophy, and he's a stud. So when I wanted to, this world is set in, the seven attributes are set in a very alternate Mediterranean Sea basin, and I wanted to pull from those places those things that I love, and that includes a strong Greek influence. Sometimes those things are skewed for this world. Like you'll see some of the gods don't seem to, god names that I use don't seem to be the right ones. That's kind of on purpose. And other things I've heard. I'm using the ancient Greek definitions of things, or I'm using things. So I heard there's hilarious things like I read somewhere a criticism that Diakoptes, that doesn't mean like destroyer or the guy who rends asunder. That means switches. And part of me was like I got up on my authorial high horse and was very offended. I'm like, well, yeah, Greek has changed in 2,500 years. Like we can't even read Old English, from 600 years ago. And people think Greek should be the same. What? I got very impassioned silently inside my own head until just now. So I do care to try to get things right. I try to play some fun little games, and then I talk with my friend and with other people who know more than I do. I borrow their bigger brains and bounce ideas off of them. So that's something fun I like to do, and I'm glad that's added an extra dimension to my books for you. That's going to be it for this month. Thank you all. And please put your questions below if you have more for me for future Q&Rs. Thanks so much. Bye.